man's cheap charade. Despite the crass misogyny and blatant hypocrisy, when the fascist voices swell, we hear echoes of the past. They vilify the immigrants, the leftists and outcasts, when the opposition croaks and the people just don't vote for the same old tired rhetoric of neoliberal politics. We must organize the fight for our universal rights, for democracy and empathy to permeate this life. For it's not the immigrant who labors for some bread, who's making us toil till we drop dead. No, it's not minorities or peer-reviewed authorities, or queer folks and trans folks, or a multitude of deities. I say, all are your comrades and none are your enemies, in a momentous fight against all bourgeois priorities. Freedom is not those traditional values crafted from bigotry and classist realities. Freedom is freedom to move and disobey, to rely on one another to keep would-be kings at bay. Say none of us can stand alone against their power. We must stand together and make them cower. For the laws of this land have us used and abused, owned and subordinate to our patriarchal roots. I say it's high time we reinvent this whole operation to make mutual benefit our sole occupation. Because freedom is freedom to move and disobey, to rely on one another to keep would-be kings at bay. Say none of us can stand alone against their power. We must stand together and make them cower. Here we go. Yes, freedom is freedom to move and disobey, to rely on one another to keep would-be kings at bay. Say none of us can stand alone against their power. Rise, proletariats, and make them cower. In 1948, the natives were expelled from the land of their ancestors, their homes and cities shelled. From the traitors in Transjordan to clandestine British demand, by the settlers' Zionist army that rampaged across the land. Oh, Palestine, we hear your desperate plea that once again across the land your people can be free. Oh, Palestine, your people live in fear. We demand your emancipation from the river to the sea. 1967, Israel did invade to conquer and to colonize what little had remained. The people of old Palestine, once again their fates entwined with the Zionist occupation of their homes and weary minds. Oh, Palestine, we hear your desperate plea.
It is good
That once again across the land your people can be free. Oh, Palestine, your people live in fear. We demand your emancipation from the river to the sea. In 2023, they've come a final time to destroy your homes and families with a murderous, lethal design. The bombs overhead are falling as our leaders continue their lies. The sky does glow and the blood it flows as we hear the children's cries. Oh Palestine, we hear your desperate plea that once again across the land your people can be free. Oh Palestine, your people live in fear. We demand your emancipation from the river to the sea. We stand with your emancipation. Your people will be free. Like puppets on strings, they dance for a king when he tells them to raid private homes. No person is safe from their self-righteous hate as they occupy cities and towns. Oh, state thugs circle round, just waiting to pound a dissident into the ground. When the people protest, they kneel on their necks and shoot them with gas cans and hard rubber rounds. Oh, but all the king's orders and all the king's soldiers won't break the people's resolve. Oh, the fascist invaders in the streets of LA will find them still standing tall. Oh, but all the king's orders and all the king's soldiers won't break the people's resolve. Oh, the fascist invaders can try as they may, but the people are still standing tall. So send your Marines and your war-made machines. They'll greet them with strength and a song. You can tear down their signs and shatter their lines, but the people will rally and still they march on. Oh, but all the king's orders and all the king's soldiers won't break the people's resolve. Oh, the fascist invaders in the streets of LA will find them still standing tall. Oh, but all the king's orders and all the king's soldiers won't break the people's resolve. Oh, the fascist invaders can try as they may, but the people are still standing tall.
Hello, hello, hello. There we go. Returning the light to its original settings. Sorry. Hello, Olsenexy. Hello, Depraved Ambiance. Hello, Abyssal Anath. Hello, Webmage. Hello, Erica. Hello, Valeriana, Damocles Marcellus. Hello, what? Hello, Salty Turtle Cupcake. Hello, Salmon Moose. Hello, Alan Smith 1_1876. Hello, Hit the Mat. Hello, Bastion. Hello, Banana Brains. Hello, Firecrafted Gaming. Hello, Irish Witch Hazel. Hello, Rotful. Congrats on getting out of a toxic relationship. Fuck that asshole. Hello, Poco Curante 8. Hello, Iotagon. Hello, Zetetic. Hello, the Kitsune Cavalier. Hello. How we doing, Tea Leaf? How we doing, Nyan Rat? Hi, Yeet Beep Boop. Hello, Spicy Lemons. Yeah, that's right. I do get bad news to your ear holes. Hello, Rindrop. Hello, Matthew H. Hello, Halo Thane Space Dust. Hello, Admin. Hello, Bizoo. Hello, Liliana Young. Hello, Punky Gal. Hello, Snuggle Kitten. Hello, Kayla98. Hello. How we doing, Alan Smith? You got two hellos. Yeah, you got it out of me. Hello, Eddie666. Hello, Jazz Dog. Hello. 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 How we all doing, folks? Hello, Yannick de Newborg. I'm gonna assume that I got that perfectly. Hello, Mikola. Hello, Jess. Hello, Fox of Fate. God, I saw a video today, and I know we're like so goddamn late on the stream today, but I was having a very high anxiety day, and just couldn't handle that until now. So, also, like, the news is just insane. How am I doing? I'm not doing well. I'm doing poorly. I believe the kids call it poorly these days. But I saw like a 3-minute long video from Francesca Fiorentini about how she's only going to like do 3 live streams a week, and like, God, I relate to that. I relate to that so hard. She's making the shift because the news is just absolutely insane. It's just absolutely insane. You know? Like, and it's genuinely scary shit. Yeah. It like bad stuff is happening in this country. Something rotten in the state of America. So hot. I love spilling a little bit of water on my face. That's how good I'm doing. Well, depraved ambiance, I did remember to take my meds, and I took the pill that I can take when I'm having a panic attack, and now I'm good. How bad is ice getting? Oh, they killed someone the other day. We're gonna talk about it. Oh, baby. But okay. Now this is just a PSA. This isn't. We're not going into like a whole segment on this, but just be aware, folks, of where your retirement funds or your pension plans. Get an idea of what you have your money invested in, or what the organizations that invest money on your behalf, what they invest in. Because if you are, say, in a union, or you have like an IRA, you just don't really pay attention to it. Something to consider would be to look into how to move money around so that you aren't investing in firms that are capitulating to Donald Trump, or in companies that are capitulating to Donald Trump. Okay? I think this is actually a really great idea, especially if you're in a union. Talk to your union reps and see if you can start doing something to get to like de-invest, you know, divest, I guess would be the term for it, from companies that are supporting Donald Trump and this fascist administration. Divest from companies that are supporting ICE. Okay? I think that that is something you can actually do, and worth looking into, to see where our levers of power are and to use those where we can, you know? Credit unions are great. They're easy to sign up for. Well, yeah. But I'm not talking about like a credit union. I'm talking about like, what are the companies that are like supplying ICE with furniture? What are the companies supplying them with cleaning supplies? Stuff, like there are a lot of companies that might fall into these categories, and any way we can put pressure on them, I think is good. Yeah, just take a look here real quick. To do fortune. Yeah. Fortune has this handy list. These are the Fortune 500 companies that have active contracts with ICE. And I'm going to give you guys a link. You can figure out how to read it on your own. But it's a good resource if you would like that kind of information. If you have access to union reps, if you're in a teachers union, pension money, retirement funds, etc. This is a worthwhile conversation to have with your family members, with your union reps, your union folks. Okay. Hello, Paladin Lost. Hello. But yeah, I think that it's time to start looking into how can we meaningfully defang ICE by whatever means we have readily available to each of us in our individual positions, right? For some of us, it's going to be getting out in front of trucks. Some of us, it's going to be showing up, screaming through a microphone or a megaphone at people, at ICE agents. For some of us, it's going to be reporting on that ice block app where you see active agents. It's going to look different depending on where you are and what you can do. But this is just another tool to be aware of, because that stuff does actually matter, And if enough of us get together doing that, you make it into a thing like, hey, get your money out of these Fortune 500 companies that are backing ICE. That can work. Slowly brainwash me to socialism. Good Jack in chat. Yes. Yep. That's my goal. Avelo Airlines. Yeah. Aren't they like transporting like prisoners for core civic and shit? Yeah. Glad I stayed up past my bedtime. Welcome, Screwface Capone. Hello, King Kerplunk. I wish Kanye West would say Trump don't care about black people like he did with George W. Bush during Hurricane Katrina. But like, why would he? He's a Nazi. He loves Trump. Let's see here. Okay. So, folks, there is this organization called the FTC, right? And the FTC does certain things like manage how companies and people can broadcast on the airwaves or on the internet, and provides rules and regulations to do so, right? And, well, it turns out they actually did something pretty cool recently, which is they passed this new regulation called click to cancel. Now, you might not have heard of this because, people don't keep up with every little thing the FTC does, eyes glaze over, boring, etc., right? But the click to cancel rule would have essentially meant that every website that you have to sign up for, or like Netflix, right? Or HBO, when you sign up, it has to be as easy to cancel your subscription as it was to sign up. You know, it was going to make it so that it'd be easy to unsubscribe from these services, to make it less predatory when you do trials. Because right now, what happens when you do a trial on like Hulu or something? You put in your info, you forget about the time period of the trial, and then oops, you're automatically getting charged now every month. And that's just kind of how these services kind of operate in a pretty skeevy way, pretty predatory way. That was going to be a thing of the past. And as you can kind of ascertain from the fact that I'm using past tense there, something happened to derail that. And that something was an appeals court struck it down specifically because companies whined that they didn't believe that Lena Khan's FTC would have changed their minds if, you know, they had heard more feedback from the companies that would have been affected by this. And the appeals court basically went, you know what, you're right. And, you know, some of this might have been salvageable, but, you know, because of the procedural hurdles involved, we're just going to scrap the entire rule. So all of that niceness about being easy to unsubscribe, you know, you weren't going to get screwed over when your trial period went into like an actual pay period, etc. That's not happening now because, you know, Comcast, Hulu, Netflix, etc. went to bat against you guys because they have a friendly FTC now under Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump's FTC. They they have it stacked with conservatives. We aren't going to get a revised version of this rule. And it turns out that, well, there's no interest there in making things better for you under Donald Trump. Under Donald Trump, they want to make it as easy as possible to scam you and me, Ma. Okay? Time to wring your elderly the elderly people in your life for everything they got. You know, if you're as long as you're, you know, some kind of streaming company or online website of any kind that you have to put payment information into. And that's cool. Yeah, like frankly, I think the argument here from the companies was pretty bad. They were trying to argue that, you know, they were given time to comment on the proposed rule change, but they didn't believe that the former makeup of the FTC under Lena Khan would have actually listened to them, and therefore their rights were violated in the process. It's truly insane. That the argument, again, the argument is just it should be as easy to unsubscribe as it is to subscribe, and you shouldn't be able to screw over your customers by tricking them into temporary trial periods that automatically roll over into payment periods. That was the entirety of the rule, and the companies argued it was too onerous on them to have a rule like that in place. So, yeah, that's cool. Super neat. Thanks, Donald Trump. Now we're all going to get screwed just a little bit more in ways that we are going to see every goddamn day we are on the internet. Every time you turn on your smart TV, you're going to be interacting with apps that are designed to take advantage of you in ways that this rule would have prevented them from doing. And that goes whether you are a lefty or a liberal or a conservative or, you know, die hard Trumper. You're going to get just as screwed over as the rest of us. Thanks, Donald Trump. You're a real pal for screwing us. King Kerplunk, I've been trying to be as clear as possible. Basically, the companies argued that due procedure wasn't given to this regulation, to this rule, because they would have needed more time to present their comments on the proposed rule. And on top of that, even if they did provide those additional comments, they don't think it would have changed the outcome, because the makeup of the FTC would have rejected it regardless of what they said. I don't get it. Why doesn't everyone just set a reminder on their calendar 1 month before from the free trial? I've never had an issue with surprise subscriptions, because a lot of people just don't do that. A lot of people don't. Yeah, I'm just going to quote this piece from The Verge. Last fall, industry groups representing companies that benefit from subscription revenue, including cable providers, entertainment studios, advertising companies, and home security firms, sought to block the rule in court, arguing the FTC aimed to regulate consumer contracts for all companies in all industries across all sectors of the economy, which is just nuts. Yeah, the petitioners have raised enough uncertainty whether their comments would have had some effect if they had been considered. Which is just fucking nuts. All right, folks, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things, hit the buttons, like do the things that help the stream. You know the ones. Like, comment, subscribe, drop subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. Do the things. Whew. For some reason, I thought they were going to be sunglasses. Nah. All right. So, folks, you know how there's some pretty awful things going on in Israel, notably some genocidal settler colonialism. Um, that's bad, right? Well, there's a story that broke yesterday, and I really haven't seen many places at all talking about it. But it was initially reported from, as far as I can tell, by Zeteo. And oh boy, Israeli settlers kill American citizen in occupied West Bank. So Seyfallah Musalet was visiting his family, right? In the West Bank. He was beaten to death by Israeli settlers. Like a bunch of Israeli settlers beat him until he was unconscious, and then when an ambulance showed up to take him to a hospital, they blocked the ambulance. And when I say they blocked the ambulance, you might be thinking, oh, they blocked it for like what, 10, 15, 20 minutes? No, they literally blocked it from getting to him and taking him away for hours. For hours. They killed an American citizen. And somehow this is not like front page news. It's not even like page 2 news. Like, I haven't seen anyone else really talking about this, and it's crazy. Now, of course, I would argue that the reason we haven't been seeing a ton of buzz around this story is because the victim of this crime is a Palestinian. He's a Palestinian American. But for I guess for some reason, Israeli settlers can just go into Palestinian towns, beat someone to death, even if they're an American citizen, and get away with the crime while also blocking any aid from getting to that person. When we talk about like there being this strain of genocidal intent and ideology in the state of Israel, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about, because again, this isn't just like one guy. Oh, they got into a fisticuffs fight and like one guy beat him until he died. No, this is like a group of people cornered him and beat him to death in his own the village where his family lives. And like this isn't isolated. This is actually something that is quite common, unfortunately, in Gaza, as well as the West Bank. I guess less common in Gaza. It was common in Gaza like 14 years ago. Regardless, you understand what I mean, right? And I just, if you are, if you're somebody with like a working heart, like the ability to understand that this is messed up to a degree words can't really encapsulate, I want to give you guys a clip from a YouTube channel by a guy named Louis Theroux. Now, if you guys are familiar with this man, he does documentaries for the BBC. Well, about a month ago, he released a couple of clips on his channel because he did a documentary about Israeli settler culture. Okay, and I thought we could take a couple, like a little glance, because I think it's kind of relevant to an American, like a Palestinian American being beaten to death in the West Bank. Let's take a look. Oops. Understand that what she just did was, one, she tried to get that man to fight her on camera, and number two, she also, and if you're like, oh well, she was trying to demonstrate a point, I understand that's kind of what happened, but also like she laid hands on a reporter. Like also like she demonstrated his point actually perfectly, you know, like he's why aren't you pushing me back? Well, because you don't actually have to do that, you know. Like it's a bizarre way to try and make this point, but like it kind of demonstrates how unhinged she is, you know. And her argument is also just, no. You see, all Israeli settler violence isn't violence, it's self-defense, because the Palestinians deserve what is coming to them. They don't have to wait until sundown to attack because they can just do it out in the open, like no one's going to stop them. The Israeli military will actively defend them. Like, it's so unhinged. She's like, no. I don't want the Palestinians to leave. I just want to, you know, bring more people in to settle this land. The land that has Palestinian people on it. Yeah. No. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no. Like, Louis Theroux here is absolutely on point. Like, yeah, it's normal to think of your own children first. It's very, very weird and deeply sick to not consider other children at all in your calculations. You know, she literally laughed when he asked if it was kind of sociopathic to just ignore the needs of other children.
So now I continue.
Well, yeah, she's arguing that she has the right to consider them subhuman, right? That's what she's doing by saying, "Oh no, I have a duty to think about all other Israeli people, you know, but I don't have to think about any of those people that are right there in that village. I don't have to think about the consequences for them. I just have to think about my own people." Except that, like, those other people in Beta, they're also people. Yeah, it's very, like, it's very, very deranged. I hoped you would push me back. Hot take: settlements are human shields. I disagree. The settlements aren't human shields. The settlements are bulldozers. You know, the settlements are pushing people into more and more concentrated areas. You know. One should always consider how your actions are going to affect other people, and when you don't, it's not even like when you don't, like, that can be out of a place of ignorance, right? But when you actively choose not to consider other people, that is, I would argue, a form of evil. You know. Here is another clip of Louis Theroux, like, explaining why he made this series. And by the way, I would recommend you all go check this out. I know you can find it somewhere online. It's really, really good. But I think that Louis Theroux here does a really good job of demonstrating and showing the ideology and the social movement that leads to, you know, Israeli settlers beating an American to death in the West Bank. And the kind of dehumanization that has been going on for years now, both within Israel as well as in America, when it comes to Palestinians, right? Like, Donald Trump calls Chuck Schumer a Palestinian as a slur. There's a member of Congress, Randy Fine, who called Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Zoran Mamdani Muslim terrorists. And that's just, like, accepted. That's just accepted rhetoric.
I've been working in TV long enough that I have the privilege of sometimes going back and doing stories I've done before to sort of update or experience a culture that I've seen before and see how it's changed, or see the ways in which it's moved on, got worse, got more strange. And so for me, it was a chance to experience the extremes of an ideology that combines religious zealotry, nationalism, and a militarized support infrastructure, and to kind of get to grips with that journalistically and emotionally. The West Bank is an area to the east of Israel that was basically occupied in 1967 in a war, and since then Israeli citizens have moved in and formed settlements, outposts and settlements, illegally under international law. Some of them are there for economic reasons because the housing is relatively cheap, and some of them are there because they are deeply religious or religious nationalist ideologues, and they are attempting to build a greater Israel and view it as their divine right to drive out the Palestinians who've been living there for generations.
Now, to clarify what he means when he says greater Israel, and what the settler colonialist movement in Israel means when they talk about greater Israel, they're not just talking about annexing Gaza and the West Bank and East Jerusalem. They're also talking about taking land from their geopolitical neighbors that are recognized nation states. And so what it calls for is effectively like a war of expansion against Israel's neighbors. And it's like they would need to seize land from Syria, which you'll notice they have been consistently inching more and more land from Syria. It would mean taking land from Jordan, from Egypt, from basically all of the surrounding areas.
So that's the backdrop to the story. I made a film there in 2010, it went out in 2011, meeting some of the settlers.
To explain, the prohibition against occupied settlements is not just a moral stance, but because the civilians are at risk. They want them attacked so they can use it as an excuse for expansion.
Yep. Because anytime Israeli settlers are attacked, the Israeli military rolls in. Anytime there is Israeli settlers do an act of violence, the Israeli military rolls in. And over time, you can force Palestinians to abandon their land or kill them, and then the settlements continue to spread.
And then I heard more recently that since October 7th, with the world's attention on Gaza, these religious nationalist settlers have been emboldened to go further, to push harder, to harass their Palestinians.
Here, I found a good map demonstrating what one proposed version of greater Israel would look like, just as an FYI. This is one of those. Netanyahu famously held up a map showing the new Middle East. That aligns pretty well there. Yeah, it's a disturbing trend, to say the least, on what it would actually entail for that region. There's another example here of what a proposed version of this might look like. But again, huge swaths of Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all of Jordan. All of Lebanon. So yeah, it's whenever you hear an Israeli talk in positive terms about the Greater Israel Project, that should send up colossal red flags for you that they are well, number one, they're nut jobs, they're fanatics, and also they aren't safe. They aren't safe people to be around or to associate with. And you should also just not trust anything they say. It's like someone coming up to you and like telling you that they think Mussolini had some good ideas.
Neighbors, and to attempt to drive them out. So I decided to go back and find out who was doing it, right? To meet the people who were sort of the ideological standard bearers for the settlers, and also to see firsthand what the consequences were of what they were doing. At the heart of the film is a woman called Daniela Weiss. I had interviewed her, but only briefly in 2010. Even then, she was
she's the leader of the Israeli settler colonial project,
known as the godmother of the settler movement. You know, in my work, there's always this balance, unself-consciously, but at the same time challenging them enough to bring out the contradictions or the parts of it that I feel don't make sense, and also allowing the viewer to feel safe, like so that it's not a case of uncritically platforming highly divisive or questionable beliefs.
What were those red spots? Those were all settlements. Yeah, again, the people doing this are evil. Like, the people who buy into this ideology are agents of that evil. Like, people who believe in the same things that this lady goes around talking about on a day-to-day basis, they're the ones who then raise up children who become young men who go and beat to death Palestinians. Like, it's not it's not a murky association here. The family of the Palestinian American Seyfola Musalet, who is only 20 years old, by the way. He was only 20 years old. He was visiting his family in a small town, and his family put out the statement that he was beaten while he was protecting his family's land from settlers who were attempting to steal it. The settlers, according to the family's statement, surrounded Musalet for more than 3 hours, preventing paramedics from reaching him and providing life-saving aid. The actions of those men are directly downstream from what that woman goes around advocating for every single day. Directly downstream from what this administration empowers directly. Remember, always worth remembering, Donald Trump got a huge influx of cash, not just from Elon Musk, but also from Miriam Adelson, Sheldon Adelson's wife. And in return for that cash, he promised her that Israel would be able to annex the West Bank.
What's changed, obviously, is that with the war in Gaza, now the settlers see an opportunity to expand there. We document an event at which the whole plan is being laid out and lobbied for, and families are being enlisted to be part of this whole project of putting hundreds of new families, new settlements in Gaza, literally as it's being bombed. Now, it's been...
I mean, like, there's nothing that makes it as clear as when you see these events. Because these aren't secret events, guys. These aren't fringe events. They are attended by people who are in the Israeli war cabinet with Benjamin Netanyahu. People like Bezalel Smotrich. All right? They go to these events and they promise this land to these people. As the conflict goes on and on, that just gives them more time to divvy up the land to more and more Israeli families. There is no intent here to allow Palestinians the ability to continue to live in Gaza. Or in the West Bank, for that matter.
About 2 weeks filming up and down the West Bank. You know, every day was a kind of some new experience of the strangeness of what a military occupation looks like, in which you've got two communities, 3 million Palestinians, a few 100,000 Jewish settlers, side by side and subject to different, very different legal regimes, right? That in itself, it felt like being immersed in a kind of dystopian movie, fully legible in the infrastructure of the...
Like, when we talk about, like, Palestinians and Israelis having different rights, like, this is what we mean. This is when we talk about Israel being an apartheid state, this is what we mean. And it's not a secret to anyone who's actually in Israel, who actually critically engages with any of these systems, who actually goddamn pays attention.
You know, gets heavily scrutinized, that it can be divisive. there's a lot of people who feel very strongly. And, you know, going into this, that was on my mind. If I'm honest, like, it was on my mind, but I didn't find it like incapacitating. And I have to emphasize, this is the frame is around what's happening in the West Bank under a military occupation. You could say, well, that's an arbitrary framing. I don't think so. Like, that's the frame, and what's taking place is, I would think, by any reasonable person's assessment, like, deeply troubling. What's happening, and I maybe naively think that anyone would see it, or most people would see it, and see it for what it was.
What I like about Louis Theroux is that he's just so goddamn earnest. He's just so earnest about in his presence of mind, and in the questions he asks, and in his portrayal of different systems that he engages with. But yeah, this is what leads to, again, just the horrifying situation that took place the other day. As for the victim, the 20-year-old victim in this, Seyfola Musalet, he helped his family run an ice cream store in Florida. His family describes him as one of those kids that everyone loves, with a beautiful heart, a sweet, gentle kid, very genuine. Everyone attests as funny. He was funny and bright. A member of his family said, "There's no justice there. You can't call the police. You can't call the Israeli government. The murderers just get to walk away." You know, and I would like to think that, you know, like Louis Theroux there, I would like to think that people, when they start digging into these stories and looking into it, can understand that there is something deeply, deeply sick going on. That when we on the left are using words like genocide or genocidal or ethnic cleansing, that this is not hyperbolic rhetoric. That when groups within Israel release reports talking about how Israel is an apartheid state, and talk about the different rules and regulations that exist for Palestinians to walk on the road versus Israelis to walk on the road, that it becomes apparent that what the left describes here is just the reality on the ground. And I'm sorry, if you are like someone who is all about America, you should at the very least get it should throw up some alarm bells. It should spark some curiosity here that, wait a minute, an American got beaten to death by a bunch of vigilantes who then denied him medical aid until he died. And no authority is going after his murderers. The Israeli government isn't commenting or doing anything about it. There's just nothing done. That in Israel, if you are a settler, you can just go and kill a Palestinian and no one can do anything about it. There is no justice. The UN has documented over 2,000 attacks by Israeli settlers on Palestinian homes and villages since January of last year. 2,000. That's it's like that's more than a couple armed attacks every day. And again, mainstream media is just not going to talk about it. You won't see Donald Trump talking about it or admonishing Benjamin Netanyahu. You're not going to see any of that. I will buy you a ticket to Gaza. Hell yeah. Buy me a ticket to Gaza. I'll go. I'll wait for it. Get me the ticket to Gaza. Ugh. You won't. Let's see here. Also, it is pretty interesting to like make a point that like, oh, the people of Gaza all hate queer people when you also hate queer people. You know? Like that's like such a weird argument to make. If anything, you should care like more a little bit. Like if you believe that overlap exists, should maybe care about them more. Like, I don't agree with you, but like you clearly believe that. So like I don't know, it's weird. It's not consistent. You know, when you people like come in here and you're like, "Oh, fly to Gaza." Like, nah. Like you guys don't even believe the bullshit you're saying. You just want an excuse to tell me that I should be killed. Right? Like that's like you're trying to be like clever. But like honestly, I'd respect you more if you just like posted in chat like you should be killed. I would respect you more because at least you're being upfront and honest about your actual position, you know? Hey, fact check. How many LGBTQIA can get married in Tel Aviv? Just out of curiosity. How many trans people did Israel kill in their last conflict? You're right, depraved ambiance. 0 LGBTQ people can get married in Israel. It's crazy. Also, like so strange, but as far as I know, like Israel in like one bombing run on Iran killed more trans people than I've ever heard of anyone in Gaza killing. So like I don't know. I'm just like throwing that out there. I hope gay marriage gets legalized in Israel. I don't think you do. I don't believe that. I think you actually hate queer people. Hence the reason you came here, and specifically to tell me that I should die, right? Like, I don't think you actually care about queer people at all. And I think your politics are primarily around who you can justify yourself
0.
exerting power over, hating, killing, etc. I think you have a particularly twisted ideology. And you demonstrate it in your rhetoric. Yo, Datura dude, thank you for the $100 dono. And I feel like I have to ask, if that was a typo, I'm happy to refund that. Just if you meant a $10 dono, happy to do a refund. Just checking. but goddamn, if not, thank you so goddamn much. Yeah, no, Ienzo, Israel recognizes and honors same-sex marriage, but if you are if you're born in Israel, you have to go abroad get married, and then you can come back and be recognized as married in Israel. It's you know, it's homophobic. It's bigoted. Yeah. Also, which of the organization of like between like Gaza and Israel, Israel is the one that actually like blackmails LGBTQ people in Gaza. Like Israel is the one that props up Hamas. Israel is the one that then gets information on LGBTQ people in Gaza and then blackmails them. They prop up the government that essentially you're saying is so awful to LGBTQ people. Israel's the one that props them up. That's such an annoying ass roundabout way of handling gay marriage. Well, yeah, because they're fascists. They're gross. Like the state of Israel is like disgusting. And not like inherently, like you can imagine a state of Israel that isn't awful in every conceivable aspect, but you know, like the one we have right now is literally doing genocidal shit. They literally have policies that allow a bunch of Israeli settler colonialists to like go into a Palestinian town and just beat someone to death, deny medical aid for hours, and then leave with no one being arrested or held accountable for the murder. Like, no, I reject that this is a sane state. I reject that. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe the point would have more salience if we didn't just watch someone like cackle with glee at the idea of ethnic cleansing. But here we are. Anyway, there's some real heinous shit going down in Israel these days. And one of the stories that I've been intending to talk about for the last week or so involves what is happening with aid in Gaza. So, what's been going on? Because, you know, we've talked about the West Bank. Let's talk about Gaza a little bit more, right? But basically, Israel set up humanitarian stations in coordination with like a US based nonprofit. And what has been happening is just massacres of Palestinians going to get food aid. So that's cool. I thought I had this article ready to go. Here we go. Here's the article that really got things kicked off. There were, of course, reports prior to this, but Haaretz broke this story. It's a killing field. IDF soldiers ordered to shoot deliberately at unarmed Gazans waiting for humanitarian aid. IDF officers and soldiers told Haaretz they were ordered to fire at unarmed crowds near food distribution sites in Gaza, even when no threat was present. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed, prompting the military prosecution to call for a review into possible war crimes. Netanyahu and Katz reject claims, call them blood libels. Literally, when Israeli soldiers talk about being ordered to shoot unarmed civilians, Netanyahu just calls them anti-Semitic. Like, it's It is truly horrific. And in this article, like, not like, first of all, it's not anti-Semitic. It's just what the IDF was ordered to do, right? But also, when talking about like hundreds have been killed, that's true. Hundreds of Palestinians have been killed. But what it doesn't say right up at the front of this article is that when you're firing automatic weaponry into a crowd of people, it doesn't kill everyone that like bullets don't kill everyone that they hit. Hundreds are dead, but thousands are injured. And in an environment where there's no sanitation, where there's little to no like antiseptic or like ability to clean the wounds or any kind of follow-up care, like the wounded can in a lot of cases also die slow deaths. And it is just a problem that has continued. Here's Al Jazeera here. Israel kills more than 300 in Gaza in 48 hours as focus intensifies on GHF. Gaza's government media office says Israel has committed 26 bloody massacres in the last 2 days. At least 118 Palestinians were killed and 581 others injured in Israeli attacks across the Gaza Strip in the past 24 hours, the Enclave's Ministry of Health said on Thursday. At least 73 of those were killed since dawn, including 33 aid seekers at the controversial Israeli United States-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, GHF, aid sites. 13 people were killed when Israeli forces attacked a tent in El Mawasi in the south. 16 were killed and many wounded in an attack on Mustafa Hafez School, sheltering displaced people west of Gaza City. Again, it's just these strikes on schools, the strikes on any kind of healthcare tent or hospital rubble at this point continue. You know, we're years into this now, and like we are so far away from, remember the hand wringing of whether or not Israel would bomb the hospital in Gaza City. Oh, the hand wringing. And yet there are like no intact functional hospitals left within Gaza. Yeah, there have also been reports of like flour bags that are laced with drugs, like laced with narcotics. Like it's, and honestly, I haven't heard any reasoning to that other than potential attempts to like poison Palestinian civilians or to kill Palestinian children, perhaps. But like, genuinely, I have heard no like definitive reason for this, but it appears to be happening. I've seen now probably about a dozen stories over the last like couple weeks about that. It's like there aren't words for this outside of genocide. You know, like there aren't words for what this movement that supports this within Israel is other than fascistic. And you want to know something? You want to know something crazy? This has been stuck in my head for the last year or so. This is from an interview the New York Times did with a West Bank settler, much like that woman we saw interviewed by Louis Theroux. I got the pronunciation this time right, you British folk. But here we go. It's a short clip.
נכון, אני לא יכולה לומר, אני באמת יכולה לומר לעצמי שיש בי משהו פשיסטי, כאילו.
Like this particular moment is just burned into my brain. just, I can admit there's something fascist about me. Like, this is where a lot of Israelis are. This is what and guys, understand that for like conservative evangelicals here in America, this isn't a bug. This is a feature. Because when conservative evangelicals see this happening, when they see the massacres, when they see the mass death, when they see like the burgeoning fascist movement, not even burgeoning, the openly fascist movement in Israel, what they see is the fulfillment of their prophecy. They view it as like they are getting closer and closer to like summoning Jesus. Because in case you guys forgot or don't know, I was raised in this particular branch of evangelical Christianity, so I'm pretty familiar with it. A shocking number of Christians believe in an event called the rapture. And what the rapture involves in a lot of the modern context of it, because it is a modern creation, is essentially the evangelicals want Israel to be rebuilt, restored to its former glory, to expand, to become a singular state, and then fulfill the prophecy laid out in Revelations. And now you might think, but wait, the prophecy in Revelations? What are you talking about? There was a movement in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s in America to basically say the book of Revelations is actually about things that are happening right now. The end of the world is nigh. And so they view the current time period we live in as the end times. Yes, the rapture is fan fiction. It's essentially created by a guy named Hal Lindsey and the Left Behind series. Like those two things basically turned it into a reality for a huge segment of the Christian population here in America, right? And so they view the empowerment of a fascistic state of Israel as a necessary component of their own religious belief. And they believe that by assembling the pieces of prophecy, they can bring about effectively the end of the world in an event that will summon Jesus Christ for the second coming, at which point all the good Christians will be lifted up into the heavens, and then all hell breaks loose on earth. The Jews are obliterated by God, and the rest of us are left to kind of wallow in misery through the tribulations until it's time to just like turn the lights off on planet Earth. Okay? And yes, basically every generation has believed, oh, maybe we're living in the end of in the end times ourselves. But like, we're not living in the end times, guys. It's just crazy. It's just crazy nonsense. It's like numerology. It's just like saying this is kind of like that if you squint your mind about it. That's the entirety of interpreting Revelations in that way. I'm pretty sure that Revelations, yes, the book of Revelations has been in the Bible for a very long time. The rapture hasn't. The rapture is not in the Bible. The rapture is not like an established thing. Kind of like how, the devil looking like a guy with like a red guy with little horns and like a tail with like a spade, and he uses a trident. That's not in the Bible either. But a lot of people still have that as their image of what the devil may look like. And similarly with the rapture and like the interpretation of Revelations as happening today in modern Israel, like it's not in the Bible. So yeah, this is all happening, and it's all just so awful. It's just so awful. And undeniably, whenever this is all done, we're going to find out that the death toll in Gaza is so much higher than what the estimates are. So many people under rubble, so many people just like gone and obliterated by bombs. Anyway, that's where we're at. I just want to end with this last paragraph here from the Zateo coverage. Moussalet is at least the 7th American killed in the West Bank, Gaza, or Lebanon since October 7th, 2023, including 6 killed by Israeli forces. Earlier this week, Zateo asked several Republican senators if they knew how many Americans had been killed by Israel in the last 21 months. None of them could answer. Can you imagine if another country just like had their special forces execute 6 Americans? Can you imagine what would be done? Like, but Israel does it. Israeli settlers do it. And there's absolutely no recognition that it happens, no awareness that it happens, and I mean, let's be real here. The only reason there is no recognition that it happens is because in America it has been normalized to think of Palestinians as subhuman. And that just ain't right. It just ain't right. We need to do better by our Palestinian brothers and sisters. We need to demand better. There we go. I'm a minister's kid, grew up in the 80s. Some weirdo taught me about the devil at camp. It wrecked my little girl brain. Yeah, the devil is also like pretty not biblical in concept. Just as an FYI, in case you guys didn't know that, the devil has less of a place in the Bible than one might imagine. Now, folks, we've been going for an hour and a half. If you've been getting anything out of today's stream, remember to hit that button. Like the stream. Do the things. You know. Consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. Click the goddamn button. Go, go, go. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. King Kerplunk, thank you for the $5 dono. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click button. Click button. Click button. Click button. Click Oh, you have a good night, Parseval. New here, watched one other. Really like your opinions and attitude. Thanks, Heather Flat. I need to be very careful saying the second part of your name. Thanks, Heather Flaherty. I almost like pronounced it like more like fart, and that was incorrect. So I stopped myself and I said it marginally right. Let's see. Clicking's a lot of work. I don't wanna. And if you can't even click a button, how can you expect to clap a booty? All right. Well, I didn't intend to open stream with that particular segment, but you know what? We did it, and that's fine. We also skipped what was probably going to be a really insipid and insufferable segment that would go along with that, so that's all right. Boo. How we all doing? You doing okay? You guys, can you guys handle getting a little bit angrier about the world? A little bit? Sure? No? Sure? Maybe? Okay, let's do it, folks. So, as I'm sure many of you know, some historic flooding has been happening down in Texas. And it's been incredibly destructive. Over 100 people have died. People, I believe, are still missing. And it is like a once-in-a-century kind of flood. The Guardian put together this piece with pictures just kind of demonstrating the height of water in some of these locations. Just like entire communities just kind of gone. People coming together. But like, it really demonstrates the might of this flooding. And a lot of people did not wind up okay from this, you know? Notably, a children's camp was hit by the flooding. Yeah, actually, here's the flood gauge here. Just rushing water at 1 to 2 feet. People, in some places, people lost everything. Because this was a once like in a century type flood, a lot of people who were affected don't have flood insurance, so they just have nothing. They have nothing. You know, it's really, really devastating. Connor, Mod can help you change your name. But also, there have been stories coming out of Hope, like, oh, look, they found 2 girls alive, and no, people are just peddling a lot of misinformation about this. People are just, you know, things are so awful that people really want there to be like good news, good information out there, feel good stories in the middle of this, but there isn't any. You know, it's kind of worse actually, that people are just lying. And here's a good time lapse. Thank you for this, Akumi. Let's turn off that music. But look at that. Just out of nowhere. It absolutely devastating. Okay? And I wanted to over 100 people have died. The response has been lackluster, to say the least. And some important knowledge to know about, hey, why did so many people get hit by this? Shouldn't there be like a warning system of some kind when there's enough rainfall to make an event like this more likely? And the answer to that is yes. There is traditionally a system that would in fact alert people to the fact that this would happen. However, it relies on funding from the federal government, funding that was cut by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So, yeah.
Out with the white names.
Oh, Salmon Moose, thank you for gifting Connor K a sub. That's very, very kind of you. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. Texas officials shot, and it's not just incompetence in the Trump administration, by the way, it's also incompetence at the local level by Republicans in Texas. Texas officials shot down siren flood alert, complaining that it might go off in the middle of the night. In 2016, local leaders debated a flood warning system designed to alert residents and out-of-town visitors to rising water, according to the Houston Chronicle. Despite an engineering study recommending nearly $1 million in upgrades, including public sirens, the project was never funded, partly due to concerns that sirens might disturb residents while they slept, which is kind of the point of a siren. The siren is there to alert you that there is something you should be awake to account for. If you're in the middle of the night and you are in the path of an oncoming flood, I think you might want to wake up. Actually, I think you might want that inconvenience of waking up in the middle of the night so you can save yourself and your family. Then Commissioner H.A. Buster Baldwin, who died in 2022, dismissed the plan as excessive and joked that midnight sirens would drive him to drink. The thought of our beautiful Kerr County having these damn sirens going off in the middle of the night, I'm going to have to start drinking again to put up with y'all, Baldwin reportedly said in 2016, which, like, why would the sirens be going off in the middle of the night unless there was a flood coming? At the time, he questioned whether the alerts would only benefit crazy people from Houston who built too close to the water. And it turns out, in Texas, if you live in a flood zone that is a once in 100 years flood zone, it's a little cheaper. And some of the buildings that were built in that flood zone and discovered later on that they had built in that flood zone, well, they also decided not to move their buildings because that would be too expensive. One example of this, by the way, is the children's summer camp. Many of you may have heard by now that there was a children's summer camp that was hit very hard by these floodwaters, and many children died as a result of that. And part of that was preventable. Like that was preventable. Because the person who owns the camp knew that those cabins were in the flood zone. And years prior had the funding to move those buildings out of the flood zone and didn't. And as a result, children are now dead. Again, this is why you don't want Republicans running your even your local government. Like, a Republican will just be like, flooding? Who needs a siren for flooding? It'll wake you up in the middle of the night. Ho, ho, ho. And then, like, 10 years later, 100 children die. You know? Oh, yeah. A lot of the people in these areas voted Republican. That's how these areas are Republican in the first place. But, you know, I think a lot of the blame also falls on the Trump administration. Again, because they cut thousands of people whose job it was to, like, talk about the weather, predict the weather, you know, issue different warnings. It's so frustrating. Baldweezy 365, newly registered Dem here, woke up people. I'll be honest, as a white guy, I felt hated by Dems and still do, to be frank. There's a lot we can improve on, but I'm happy to have woken up. Republican from 2016 to 2018, then independent from 2018 to 2025 for context. But why did they spend the funding on police force BS as opposed to flood prevention measures? Because I'm going to be honest here, because I think there are a lot of people who look at, like, shiny new police equipment and they say, ooh, that's cool. Like, frankly, I think that's a large part of it, right? Like, oh God, can I find it really quick? Oh God, can I find it? No, I can't. There's a video of, like, a small town police department putting out, like, a look, we just got an armored vehicle, and, like, they put, like, kind of shitty rock music over it, and it's, like, going over little speed bumps and stuff, and they think it looks badass, right? And I think that on, like, kind of like a instinctual level, for a lot of Republicans, they look at that and they're like, that does look badass. And they value the looking of badassness more than the actual functional utility of having early warning for floods. You know, because a flood, that's something that might happen, you know, in 100 years. We don't got to worry about that. Let's get a badass cop car, though. That'll be cool. Like, I genuinely think for a lot of Republican dudes, like, that's what it boils down to. God, I'm not going to find it. I really wanted to. It was very funny. Whatever. Moving on. Immaterial. So, of course, a lot of the blame for this lies at the feet of the Trump administration, right? And, you know, he's been cutting things left and right. You know, the cuts are going to hit now Medicare, Medicaid, basically anything that helps us on a day-to-day basis. Oh, by the way, and this is just kind of an early shout out, but in a couple weeks, the Navy is going to stop sharing its, like, atmospheric data with weather stations across the country. And that is going to be devastating. It is basically going to cripple our ability to detect hurricanes and such. it's going to be an absolutely colossal loss to our ability to forecast catastrophic storms forming off the coast. So that's a whole thing. Yeah, no, this is exactly what I was talking about, arachnomancy. This is exactly what I was talking about. The camp cabins are literally in one of the biggest flood zones. Here, yeah. This is exactly what I was talking about. You can literally see a bunch of them were built directly inside the flood zone, and then almost all the rest of the buildings are built in like the expanded flood zone. God. I can't. It makes me so mad. Especially, like, I used to be a camp counselor, and like I cared about my kids so much. Why are they doing that? Because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to build in a flood zone. You know, if you're only thinking short term. Yeah, Dick Eastland, the co-owner and executive director of Camp Mystic, who died in last week's flooding, had worked to approve that system, saying it would give people along the river more time to react to a flood event. The river is beautiful, but you have to respect it, Mr. Eastland told the Austin American Statesman in 1990. And it's like, you said that, and then you built almost your entire camp in one of the primary flood zones. Mr. Eastland seemed to be extremely cautious when it came to flooding. Yeah, seeming to be and actually being are very different. In 2016, at the camp's 90th anniversary event, she recalled asking Mr. Eastland about flood risks. He told her that the dam was inspected every summer, she recalled, and gave the impression that he never imagined a disaster of the kind that developed last week. He didn't feel that there was any way that camp could flood like this, she said, despite the fact that it's literally in a floodway. But okay. Cool. Makes me so fucking mad. 6 years ago, when Camp Mystic pursued a $5 million construction project to overhaul and expand its private, for-profit Christian camp, no effort was made to relocate the most at-risk cabins away from the river. Instead, local officials authorized the construction of new cabins in another part of the camp, including some that also lie in a designated flood risk area. The older ones along the river remained in use, and those older ones along the river are where the youngest children were. They had $5 million to invest in this camp, and they spent none of it on making the kids safer from a known threat. It's infuriating. Like, it's just beyond infuriating. Speaking of, let's take a look here at Michael Knowles, a man known for his good takes. If by good takes you mean being wrong about everything. Let's take a look at what he thinks about the Texas flooding situation. I'm sure it's very even-handed and not at all unhinged.
Before we get to any of the big political stories, I do have to get to these horrific storms in Texas.
Yeah, which definitely not a big political story. There's no politics when it comes to storms or storm damage prevention or funding for cleanup or anything else. along those lines, nothing political at all. Nothing to see here. It's just Mother Nature, God's vengeance. Ha ha.
Obviously, I was out of the country, and I was barely checking my phone. I didn't really want to see all the political news. I'll catch up on it later. But then you saw this horrific storm, massive floods. 82 people confirmed dead so far. That number is almost certainly going to rise. I think there are 40 plus people still confirmed missing. That includes dozens of girls from a Christian summer camp. I mean, just absolutely horrific. So we all pray for everyone and for the rescue efforts and all the rest, for the families, for the dead.
What, Michael, what was that face?
Efforts and all the rest, for the families, for the dead.
I mean, at least pretend you give a shit about saying you want to pray for the families. Like, at least pretend, man. Jesus.
One thing we don't do is react in the way that some really prominent people on the left have been reacting, which was totally predictable, but it's repulsive and nauseating.
Oh, so you're saying that Democrats or left-leaning folks reacting angrily is predictable, but weather patterns aren't. That's interesting. We'll see if that holds up.
And it gets to a real problem at the heart of liberalism. I'll just use one example.
Yeah, lay it on us.
This guy, Kyle Kulinski, who is a fairly well-known internet person on the left.
Okay, I didn't know Kyle Kulinski was going to be involved in this.
He's been around for a while. He writes, with the flooding in Texas and all of those precious little girls dying. Look at this, what a mocking phrase, all these precious little girls dying.
What are you talking about? It's so mocking to talk about children being precious. What the fuck are you on about, man?
It's important to remember this was 100% preventable.
Yes.
Elon and Trump slashed the National Weather Service and massively reduced the number of weather balloons in the country, destroying our ability to accurately forecast severe weather events. I've personally experienced forecasts being way off multiple times already. They have blood on their hands and they should be arrested for the deaths of those little girls. Okay.
Yes.
So none of this is true.
No, it is absolutely true.
Really. This was not 100% preventable. We'll get to that in 1 second. Elon and Trump.
No, what was preventable was, having early warning systems funded. What was preventable was having better forecasting to alert people sooner that this event was on its way. Like, who cut these systems? It's not difficult to find. The lasting threat of Trump's cuts to NOAA and NWS on American communities. Let's just take a look, shall we? Let's see. Let's see. The National Weather Service, in particular, has lost close to 600 staff at a time when 40% of the National Weather Forecast offices are facing significant staff vacancies. Specifically for the Austin, San Antonio Forecasting Office, which covers areas affected by the Texas floods, the Trump administration's recent DOGE layoffs included a warning coordination meteorologist position that plays a critical role in communication coordination between forecasters, emergency managers, and the public. These cuts to NOAA and NWS programs, staff, and data are making communities more vulnerable to storms like the one that hit Kerr County, Texas. God. It's not even subtle. The 2026 budget appears to actively be working to eliminate the Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, along with all NOAA weather laboratories and cooperative institutes and laboratories, which provide weather forecasting data and research from 80 universities and work to improve NOAA's warning and forecasting capabilities. Like, this isn't like, there's really no connection if you think about it. Like, no, this is like, you literally fired the people who would have been in charge of determining the risk to these areas. And you fired the people in charge of communicating that risk to local officials. You fired every single part of the chain that would have alerted people that this type of flooding was imminent and that they should get to safety. And like, if just one more part of that chain had been in place, it is possible that those little girls wouldn't have died in that camp. It's possible that the people who died in this flooding would have gotten to safety, would have gotten to higher ground. The damage would have still been immense, but the people would still be alive. This is not... this isn't even like that big of like a logical chain to follow. If you are aware that a natural disaster is barreling down on your location, you're more likely to get to safety. I think even the biggest dumbass can understand that.
Flashing the National Weather Service is
Well, I stand corrected.
Schellenberg points out the National Weather Service got this right. The issue is not the National Weather Service. There do seem to have been errors in sending out alarms.
Yeah, which is part of what they help do
at the state level, but there's
communicate to state officials.
No evidence that the National Weather Service failed at all. There's no evidence that just now in the first year.
Like, I'm sorry, it's crazy to me that to be like, well, the National Weather Service knew that this was happening. But then, like it just didn't get out beyond that. It's like, well, the entire purpose of the National Weather Service getting that information is to disseminate that information to the people who need to know it. It doesn't, like, it does us no good if they're just collecting the information and no one knows about it. Michael, like, that should be obvious.
Of the second Trump term, finally meteorologists get forecasts wrong. Obviously, that's happened so frequently that it's been a punchline for as long as there have been meteorologists. They have blood on their hands. Listen to the sanctimony, the self-righteousness from this guy Kyle Kolinsky. 100% preventable.
You literally clothe yourself in God on every single one of your shows, Michael Knowles. I don't want to hear you talking about how someone else is sanctimonious. Pompous ass.
Now, we know this isn't true. We know that this can't be attributable to any supposed cuts made under the second Trump term because of Hurricane Harvey. So the confirmed death toll so far in...
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh my God.
In this awful storm is 82. Hurricane Harvey killed at least 68 in 2017, many years before the supposed...
Yeah, maybe there's a difference between these two things, Michael. Like, maybe one might want to look more at different things. Hey, guess what? Did you guys know that more people died in Pompeii? Checkmate. There wasn't even a National Weather Service back then to tell people that the volcano was erupting. More people died in Pompeii. Yeah. Checkmate. It's true. Or, like, it's like fewer people died of Typhoon Terry over in Malaysia. See? Checkmate. Like, it doesn't... The issue isn't, did another natural disaster kill more or less people? That's irrelevant. What is relevant is what led to the communication breakdown in this particular instance that led to over 100 people dying. That's important. That's important. And what happened here when you dig into the story is shocking. And we are going to dig into the story after we work through this clip of Michael Knowles. But just understand that, like, the deaths in this case were preventable with better early warning detection and communication, things that the National Weather Service has historically done, but they can't right now because the people responsible for doing those jobs were fired by the Trump administration.
Elon, Trump cuts to the National Weather Service. What would the left, what would Kyle Kulinski blame that on? Before that, let's go back a little further. Tropical Storm Allison killed 55 people in, what was it? That was 2001, I think, right? Well, long before anyone had really considered President Trump a serious presidential candidate. Well, let's go back a little further than that, because, you know, the other thing that people are going to blame this on is climate change, global warming, whatever. How about the Galveston hurricane, where the storm surges and the floods killed between 6,000 and 12,000 people in 1900, long before any global warming, climate.
Yeah, I wonder if there are any other factors that contributed to more people dying 125 years ago. I wonder if maybe like technological innovations have been made that make buildings safer, that make them more resilient in the face of natural disasters. You know, did you know that there used to be a time when like earthquakes would regularly just like demolish like half of the cities on the West Coast? And then guess what? We developed technologies, and now that doesn't happen nearly as much. Like, there are other factors at play here, but the main factor at play in this flooding thing in Texas is cuts to the jobs that are dedicated to keeping people safe from the weather.
Change long before any of the things, long before Trump, but long before any of the things that the left is going to blame this natural disaster on. A reaction like Kyle Kulinski's, and I don't mean to just single him out, there have been plenty of people on the left who have reacted this way. This reaction entails
also, again, climate change makes it more and more likely as things get hotter and hotter that these storms get bigger and bigger. That's just it.
A lot of vice. You have to have a lot of personal vice and sin to have this reaction. But ultimately, ideologically, it's about a denial of original sin. That's really what.
Okay, we're back to just claiming God is sending natural disasters to punish sinners. Okay, tell us more.
This is about. The tragedy has to be preventable because the world can't be fallen, because there can't be any such thing as original sin, because there can't be any limits on human potential. We must be able to control everything. We must be able to prevent every bad thing. We must be able to perfect society. It must be true. That is the premise of liberalism.
No, the argument that we on the left are making is that if you have people whose job it is, here, I'll make myself big for this. If you have people whose job it is to communicate when there is a natural disaster about to happen, on its way to a given area, and they communicate that to people so that they can get out of said area, and then you fire those people, you're gonna have more innocent folks dying as a result of that. It's not, and like, again, remember how he called Kyle Kulinski like sanctimonious? And now he's talking about like you're all denying original sin and the fallenness of the world. Like, no, that actually has nothing to do with the argument. The argument is just, hey, if you have an early warning system in place and people who make up that early warning system, and then a bunch of people die because they were caught unaware by the thing that they typically would have been made aware of by the early warning system, then that's a problem with whoever in the leadership gutted the early warning system. That's why we're pointing fingers at the Trump administration, because they're the ones responsible for firing the people who would have been in charge of letting us know about the natural disaster.
But it's not true, because it's a fallen world. And you couldn't have.
I love that Michael Knowles, in the face of like tragedy, is like, could we have done things better? No, we live in a fallen world. How dare you even suggest that we could possibly create a system that would minimize death and suffering? You fools, you buffoons. Like, it doesn't make sense. And honestly, he should be laughed out of any room he's in for the rest of his life for making this argument.
Prevented any of these things. Not in 1900, not in 2001, not just this past week. Bad things just happen sometimes. And bad things happen to good people. That's called theodicy.
Bad things do happen to good people. That is true.
Damn Rocket Money didn't cancel this.
I Can't Video Game, thank you for resubscribing. Appreciate you. But again, his literal argument is there's no possible way to like keep people safe. No policy can keep you safe, says conservative who's been talking about how policies need to keep us safe every single show he's done for the last 10 years.
And the great thinkers have dealt with this problem for millennia. But
the problem of early flood warning systems? I don't think so.
Modern liberals in particular, modern people generally, but modern liberals in particular, cannot deal with that because there cannot be such a thing as original sin. Bad things can't just happen. We must be able to.
I feel like bad things can just happen, and frankly, I think people understand that, especially people who aren't Christian can understand that bad things can in fact just happen. Like that's, yeah, we live in a world where bad things can just randomly happen. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. There was a spider that startled me, and I smashed it on the wall. I was moving boxes, and it just got scared and ran out. And I smashed it on reflex, and there was a part of me that just felt so guilty for doing that, because I imagined the spider's perspective, that it was just minding its own business, and then all of a sudden its existence, faster than it can possibly even comprehend, came to an end. And to that spider, like, bad things happen for no reason, you know? Because that's the kind, like, that can happen in life. Bad things can just happen. But what Michael Knowles is saying is not just that bad things can happen. He's also trying to say that people on the left don't recognize that bad things can just happen, which is just patently false. But he's trying to do that in what I think is a particularly grotesque way, which is by effectively trying to let everyone off the hook who could have done better and knew they should have been doing better, because we previously had an early warning system that would have worked. Michael Knowles is trying to let people responsible for this mass death event off the hook. If you're a conservative, just understand, people like Michael Knowles would happily argue that, like, if you got murdered, that, well, what do you want to have happen? You know, they would just happily advocate, like, oh, you died as a result of negligence from a member of the Trump administration. Nothing wrong with that. Bad things just happen.
Stop it. We are human beings. We have the potential to totally control the world. We can make ourselves gods. That's the theory, and it's false. I remember after that awful shooting
I love that he's like, oh, you want to have an early warning system that functions when it comes to flooding? Huh. You moron, you imbecile, you want to be a god. And it's like, no, we have technology that allows us to do this. It's a matter of hiring someone trained for the position. That's it.
Covenant School here in Nashville, when the trans identifying person shot up the little kids at the Christian school. There was another one of these guys, like another Kyle Kalinske, David Pakman. He's another one of these liberal internet guys who doesn't make himself out to be some radical or some fringe person, makes himself out to be a mainstream person. And he came out, he tweeted out, he said, it's so strange that there was a shooting at a Christian school because they always pray. Maybe those little kids should have prayed harder and they wouldn't have been killed. That was his reaction of a guy who considers himself a mainstream leftist. And
I mean, maybe if conservatives ever offered a solution to mass shootings that wasn't just thoughts and prayers, or teachers should have guns around their students, you know, like I don't know. I don't think it's an unfair response to, you know, a very long series and strains of mass shootings in schools that have taken place, with people performatively doing the thoughts and prayers thing and no action actually being taken to address the mass shootings.
there was the same kind of sanctimony. The same...
Dog, you just went on a rant about how liberals think they're gods because we want to have weather forecasting that works. Don't fucking talk about sanctimony here for other people. Like, damn, dude. Do you have zero self-awareness?
Vile bile in the reaction. But also...
You literally opened this segment, by the way, offering thoughts and prayers while like rolling your eyes, half-heartedly like offering thoughts and prayers for the victims. And like, you went on to say none of the people who were in positions of leadership in their communities or in our government full of Republican elected officials, they didn't do anything wrong. No, you're basically just, again, offering thoughts and prayers with no actual constructive suggestion on how to improve this or prevent this in the future. It's crazy. T-, thank you for gifting a sub to Minty Treasure.
So the same sanctimony, as if to just blame Republicans or something.
Republicans currently have a majority in Congress and the presidency. They control the budget for these national agencies. The budget that got cut. They put people in charge of these different agencies and had them gut the agencies, firing hundreds, in some cases thousands of workers whose job it would have been to communicate to people on the ground to get them evacuated.
It couldn't just be that bad things happen sometimes. But of course you ask all of...
No, of course bad things happen sometimes, but also part of having a functional government is being prepared for those bad things. You know, like, for example, America has a standing military, right? We have a standing military because sometimes bad things happen, right? Sometimes, like, it turns out that standing military needs to become active and do something, right? A lot of other countries have standing militaries as well for the similar reason.
People die all the time, that's why we should never do anything about anything. Don't you know about my religion's concept of original sin?
It really is... It really is a situation where, like, you know, people die of heart attacks all the time. Why on earth would you do any kind of preventative medication or change of lifestyle to put off that heart attack? Don't you know of original sin? We live in a fallen world. That heart attack can happen anytime. Nothing you can do about it. You went to go see Dave down by the hardware store, and he's not a doctor, but you know, like, he told you not to go to the doctor because he knows what's best for you.
These people. You ask David Packman at the shooting in Nashville, you say, well, what would you have done to prevent this? Maybe they would say gun control. We would pass a gun control law. There's not one gun control law been proposed in the past 3 decades that would have stopped any of these shootings. You might say prevent trans-identifying people from getting guns. He almost certainly wouldn't agree with that. You ask Kyle Kulinski or these libs, you say, what would you have done to prevent the flood? I would have funded the National Weather Service. There was no problem with the National Weather Service. Well, I would have had more carbon tax credits. I would have had more electric vehicles. You would have had what? You would have had what? Nothing.
You would have had the people who were fired, whose job it is to communicate with local and state officials and initiate early warning procedures for the affected areas. You would have mobilized them and put them to work to make known the threat. You would have gotten FEMA out there to prep for disaster relief because you know what's coming. You would have had teams on the ground ready to rescue people because you know what is coming. It's like you're acting like it's impossible to have been prepared for this, but that's exactly what an early warning system allows you to do. It allows you to get prepared for that.
That you've proposed will stop natural disasters. Wouldn't have stopped Hurricane Harvey, wouldn't have stopped Tropical Storm Allison, wouldn't have stopped the Galveston hurricane.
You know, it's crazy to me that like earlier he threw out there like the hurricane that happened in 1900 and how many more people died in 1900. And part of the reason why so many more people died in 1900 is because they didn't have functional early warning systems or functional material ways of rescuing people in the ways we have today. We have so much more when it comes to resources, so much more when it comes to information, so much more when it comes to information dissemination. And that's how we're able to lower the death toll in these natural disasters, even as they get more intense and bigger in scope and scale. Michael's argument here is literally, you can't make anything better. Just accept your fate. You're going to die because you're a sinner. That's it. That's his only argument.
It wouldn't have stopped any. There has been flooding. There have been natural disasters. There has been evil and sin and death in the world since just almost the beginning.
You know, okay, let's engage Michael on his own turf here. Hey, do you guys remember one of the first guys who got who was the beneficiary of an early warning system for a natural disaster? Do any of you guys remember the old tale? There's a little guy named Noah, right? And God, with his superior early warning system, was able to let him know that there was a gigantic flood coming. And Noah was able to build a goddamn boat to keep himself and his family safe. Wow, that's crazy. It's almost like having an early warning system that functions, benefits people, and allows them to save their own lives. It's so fucking awful. And it's so clear he has nothing, by the way. He's got absolutely nothing. Michael Knowles is just running on fumes for this segment because he's basically just like, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? And I want them to do things that will result in fewer people dying. Yeah. I want maybe the state of Texas to enforce their regulations so that people aren't building summer camps in flood zones because it's cheaper, you know? I don't know, just a couple ideas. Maybe the people who were fired from the National Weather Service and NOAA should be rehired so that we can continue to have functional early warning systems that allow people to get to safety. Maybe we should continue sharing Navy weather data with the rest of the country so that we continue to have an early warning system that functions. Just spitballing some ideas here. Man would fail at being a hat rack? Absolutely.
Almost. Since we got booted out of the garden. And there are things we can do, obviously, to protect ourselves, to...
Then what was the entire point of everything you just said? If there are things we can do to protect ourselves as a society and as individuals, then what the fuck was this entire segment about, other than trying to say these people don't have a point, except that their point was there are things we can obviously do to protect ourselves and our communities, which there are. One of the biggest is making sure the people who forecast and also communicate natural disasters retain their jobs and continue to have the ability to communicate with us when threats arise. God.
To try to cope and to comfort people who deal with the suffering that life entails. But this ain't it. And what it comes down to is a fundamental error in the modern...
Like, Michael Knowles will happily advocate for, like, the Second Amendment, your Second Amendment right to carry, like, a handgun to protect yourself, you know? But he won't advocate for, like, funding for a federal government agency to be able to protect the people that government represents from natural disasters. It doesn't make sense. It's completely incoherent.
Ideology. Liberalism, most notably. The hubris, the pride to say we can prevent evil. We can just
wait.
Totally stop it. It'll never seep in. We can
in fact defeat evil. We can't 100% defeat it, but we can in fact improve things, you know? There was a time when people were dying left and right of smallpox. And guess what? We figured out a way to stop that. We figured out a way to inoculate people against smallpox so that people would never die from smallpox again. We figured that out. We were able to eliminate human suffering. It's now absolutely needless to suffer from smallpox as a result of our ability to overcome that challenge. We also have the ability to overcome the challenges posed by flooding and natural disasters, specifically because we developed technology that allows us to understand what areas are going to be affected by those natural disasters. But Michael Knowles is directly opposed to those systems and technologies. Like, clearly. And all I can really come to the conclusion about when it... all that I can really say about that is that it really seems like Michael Knowles is just saying that if you are in a flood zone, if you are in an area that gets hit by hurricanes or tornadoes or earthquakes, you should just die. Like, that's kind of what it seems like he's saying to me. That you should just lay down and die because we live in a fallen world of sin. Just lay down and die. Hey, Exia Ross. Haven't seen you in a very long time. Hope you're doing all right.
We can perfect it. We can save the world. That's the error. And these people certainly can't, and none of us can. There's one person who can say.
This, by the way, is one of the reasons why a certain segment of Christianity falls into kind of this death cult mentality, where it's just kind of like, the world's fallen, nothing good can happen in it. You can't improve things, so people should just suffer and die. Like, there is a certain element within Christianity that kind of like leans towards that end of the spectrum.
Save the world, and he has. I'll move on, but just one additional terrible reaction to these tragedies. You see this one all over TikTok. People who almost come.
Oh, I can't. We're now beyond his storm segment. He's going into TikTok reacts. But I do want to remind you all of a very famous clip of Michael
Sometimes
Knowles.
people die. It just happens. Also check out this box of cigars. Alright, you all have a good night, Riverboat Jack peeps.
See ya, it's me, Bingo. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And here is ultimately what Michael Knowles believes should apply to not just the elderly, but to all of us.
Sometimes I wish the elderly would just die.
You know, like that's just the sociopathic character he played in his acting reel is just him. It's just how he actually thinks about actual people. You know? Like, it's not...
Sometimes I wish the elderly would just die.
Just monstrous. But also, we're not done. Because the story actually continues. This Michael Knowles clip that we just went over came out 4 days ago. And some very interesting events have transpired since then that add to the story of Texas flooding. Now, let's start with this, which is maybe one of the most incredible moments I've ever seen in politics. I'll just let it play.
Here with CBS News Texas, several families we've heard from are obviously upset because they say that those warnings, those alerts didn't go out in time, and they also say that people could have been saved. What do you say to those families?
Well, I think everyone did an incredible job under the circumstances. This was, I guess Christie said, a 1 in 500, 1 in 1,000 years, and I just have admiration for the job that everybody did. There was just admiration. Only a bad person would ask a question like that, to be honest with you. I don't know who you are, but only a very evil person would ask a question like that. I think this has been heroism. This has been incredible, really, the job you've all done. It's easy to sit back and say, oh, what could have happened here or there, you know. Maybe we could have done something differently. This was a thing that has never happened before.
So... that is the President of the United States saying anyone who thinks that the government should have been more on the ball when it came to its early alert system, something that has functioned in the past but ceased to function under Donald Trump following his cuts. Anyone who asks about that, asks about the system of early notice for natural disasters, why it failed. Anyone who asks about that is evil. Anyone who is concerned about that is evil. According to the President of the United States. This is a man who fucking despises you. If you are a conservative in Texas, if you're a conservative in anywhere in rural America, this man hates you. This man would would just like completely accept and be okay with your death and just say like, actually people are evil for caring about the fact that, you know, you died. Like he could point a gun at you, kill you, and then call the people who are concerned about that evil. It's genuinely shocking to me in a way that like I find difficult to put into words. Following a tragedy that's killed over 100 people, many of whom are children. Like he's literally talking to the families of people who have lost loved ones, the families of people who have lost children, and saying you're evil for even questioning the fact that I cut our early alert system. You're evil for questioning that. When we talk about like the fascism around Donald Trump being a death cult, this is what we mean. When we talk about the fact that like they are okay throwing people into, you know, proverbial meat grinders for the service of the state, this is what we mean. You cut the systems people rely on to live. And then when they die, you just say, oh, that's just how things should be. Look at all the heroism on display here. It's truly evil stuff. And now we get to, again, keep in mind, that's Donald Trump talking about how anyone who questions the response to this is evil. Here's a piece from the New York Times that was published earlier today. FEMA didn't answer thousands of calls from flood survivors, document shows. 2 days after deadly Texas floods, the agency struggled to answer calls from survivors because of call center contracts that weren't extended. Now, that sounds weirdly bureaucratic, so I'm going to break this down a little bit because this story is genuinely insane, okay? It's genuinely insane and infuriating in a way that I struggle to find words for, okay? So basically, what happened? The FEMA laid off a bunch of contractors on July 5th because they had contracts that expired and weren't extended. The reason these contracts weren't extended is because Kristi Noem, the head of Homeland Security, had instituted a new rule saying that any expenses above $100,000 needed to be approved by her personally. And she didn't get around to re-upping those contracts until several days later. So basically, you have a period of the first day FEMA answered calls, but that was the last day. The first day of the flooding, FEMA answered calls. That's the last day those call centers were contracted for. The next day, they didn't have call contract support. They didn't have call centers to take the calls. Okay? And it's it's just the amount of fumbling here is truly next level. Okay? And the government is just lying. The government is just lying, right? So a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security who asked for anonymity wrote, quote, "When a natural disaster strikes, phone calls surge and wait times can subsequently increase. Despite this expected influx, FEMA's disaster call center responded to every caller swiftly and efficiently, ensuring no one was left without assistance." And that is what we call in the biz a lie. So the New York Times actually got a hold of the number of calls each day the flooding took place, right? So this is the general system that is in place. After floods, hurricanes, and other disasters, survivors can call FEMA. And when they call, they can apply for financial assistance that helps them get through and find stability and such. People who lose homes can apply for a one-time payment to help in the interim period while they find some stability or clean up their homes, etc. Get their scavenge their supplies. So on July 5th, floodwaters starting to recede. FEMA got 3,027 calls from disaster survivors, and they answered 3,018, 99.7%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Those calls were overwhelmingly answered by contractors from 4 different call center companies. However, that evening, the contracts expired, and Kristi Noem was nowhere to be found. The next day, when they had no call centers contracted at this point, FEMA received 2,363 calls, and they only answered 846, 35.8%. The next day, on July 7th, the agency got 16,419 calls, and they answered only 2,613, only 15.9%. Within FEMA, officials could not understand why Kristi Noem wasn't re-upping these contracts. In the documents, there is an email, right? Where they say, quote, "We still do not have a decision, waiver, or signature from the Department of Homeland Security Secretary." That's on July 8th. Responding to less than half of these calls. Somebody made a visual representation just to like give you an idea, and I think it's useful as a shorthand here. You can literally see the drop-off in answered calls. It's nuts. So not only are the cuts to our National Weather Service resulting in loss of life that could have been prevented, but also in the aftermath of the storm, the federal government that would traditionally provide support is nowhere to be found and in no rush to help people. Truly, truly unhinged. That graphic, by the way, made by Kara Jackson over on Blue Sky. Just gonna link that in chat for you guys. Beep. 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 It's just horrendous. And here, I just want to again, when we look at Michael Knowles and he's offering only thoughts and prayers, let's look at someone with significantly more power in this country than Michael Knowles. Let's take a look at the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
State and federal resources have just poured into that area. Is there anything more that can be done congressionally, legislatively to help these folks?
In a moment like this, we feel just as helpless as everyone else does. I've talked to my colleagues there in Texas, Chip Roy and August Pfluger, whose families, that's Chip's district. August's daughters were at the camp. We also had Betty Carter of Georgia, had grandchildren there. It touches so many families, and all we know to do at this moment is pray. Every available resource has been deployed. The president, of course, is dialed in and watching this develop moment by moment as we are, and we'll handle supplemental funding requests as they come in, but right now they're still trying to do rescue and recovery, and our hearts go out to all of them.
State and federal.
They cut this. They cut this. They cut these weather services in the budget bill that he just voted on and pushed through and touted as a triumph. They further cut our weather services. Like, I really want to emphasize here that and I said this on Blue Sky, and I'm going to say it again here, but like, there have been moments in world history where if a civil servant had failed to the degree the Republican Party has failed when it comes to natural disaster response and preparedness, there is a tradition of falling on one's own sword in order to atone for the depth of that failure to the people you are responsible to the people you are elected to represent. And like, we're living through a time period where like, I don't know, like 90% of Republicans are just going, oh, what can you do? People be dying. And that's just not good enough. If you're in a position of leadership, that is just not good enough at all. These people do not take responsibility for the fact that they are killing Americans. That is a direct result of cutting our weather forecasting, of firing the people who are in charge of communicating severe weather issues and potential fallout to state and local authorities. It is a direct result of underfunding and or cutting local response systems like sirens. It is a direct result of systematic cuts and shortfalls and budgetary failures pushed along by conservatives as a result of constant budget cuts so that they can give the richest among us a bigger and bigger share of the pie, while the public services that are supposed to keep all of us safe languish and die. That's where we are in America. And all the while, Republicans can only offer thoughts and prayers. The biggest thing they're expanding under Donald Trump is the deployment of thoughts and prayers as a way of abdicating their responsibility as leaders. Head of local weather warnings takes early retirement as NOAA cuts continue. Yep. Paul Ura, the warning coordination meteorologist at the National Weather Service Austin San Antonio office, has announced that he's taken the early retirement offer as part of NOAA's recent cuts to personnel and budget. He has 32 years of experience, spending more than half of his career at the NWS Austin San Antonio office. In the process, he gained tremendous experience understanding local weather patterns while ensuring timely warnings get disseminated to the public in a multitude of ways. The warning coordination meteorologist is a senior role at the local NWS office, according to NOAA. The WCM coordinates the warning function of the office with the outside world. This would include heading the Skywarn program, conducting spotter training, and being a voice to the local media for the office.
I do care about this stuff, and worry about it. And I do indeed identify as evil.
I mean, yeah, the cuts to this are fucking evil. Like, I don't know how you can, hey, let's cut the jobs of the people who keep us safe from, like, I don't know, the massive water storms that destroy us routinely every year. Let's fire those people. That's like firing a Gundam pilot in the middle of I don't know. That analogy fell apart. That's like firing one of the Pacific Rim pilots in the middle of Pacific Rim. There we go. Nailed it. I was about to say it's like firing a Gundam pilot in the middle of Gundam, but that wouldn't have made sense. There we go. Yeah. The importance of experience in the WCM role cannot be overstated. Ensuring ample and timely warning to Central Texas counties covered by the NWS Austin and San Antonio is among the chief responsibilities. And Ura's final date of employment is April 30th, just before severe weather season in central Texas typically peaks in the month of May. Science operations officer also retiring. Nice. The office is already short 2 meteorologist positions currently listed as vacant. Positions of lead meteorologist and meteorologist remain open. And they also have a vacant electronics technician position. So I genuinely don't know who's working at that office. But this is what Republican administrations do. They cut and they cut and they cut to the bone until suddenly people start dying, and then they keep cutting anyway because they don't give a fuck about you or me. All they give a fuck about is that sweet, sweet money and those sweet, sweet billionaires that put money in their pockets too.
Sometimes I wish the elderly would just die.
That is the Republican ethos in a nutshell. It's so infuriating. It's so infuriating. All right, folks, we've been going for almost 3 hours. If you've been getting anything out of today's stream, please hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. Because, folks, you guys make this stream possible. I literally couldn't do it without you guys. You know, I don't make enough on ads, but you guys with your subs and donos keep me trucking along. And honestly, you're interacting with you guys. It's what allows me to keep staring into this abyss of like madness and despair on a day-to-day basis and not go insane. So thank you for being just wonderful, wonderful chatters. Liking the stream is indeed free. Oh, I forgot the button song. Silly me. Go, go, go. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click button. Click button. Click button. Click post what on Discord? I'll have to ask Jazz Dog if I can. I'm sure he'll be fine with it, but like I still want to ask. Flick the bean, flick the goddamn bean. More men should get that advice, frankly. It reminds me of Bob's Burger song with Tina just singing about butts. Hell yeah. So, folks, I have to pee really bad. I should have peed during that music break. But if you guys drop some subs or donos, I'm gonna assume you're gonna do that and summon the dono ghost. BRB. I did it. How we doing, folks? I do think Jazz Dog must have beaten the devil in some kind of modern day version of the fiddle contest. I am of that opinion. Did you flush and wash your hands? I did indeed. Still looking fabulous. I feel like I look like so wizened today, but I think that's because I spent most of my day like dissociating hard. I've been going through. It's fucking rough being a trans person covering the news these days, folks. It doesn't feel very good. And I'm also moving, and also like, you know, that just there's a lot of demands on my time. It's rough. And today was not one of my better brain days. Me and the devil had a staring contest, but I threw sand in his eyes and said, "Pocket sand."
I hope you had a good pee.
Thank you very much, Matthew H, for the $20 Australian. Very much appreciated. Thank you for supporting the stream. I do appreciate that a lot. If you eat pancakes at 4 a.m. right before you go to bed, does that technically count as breakfast? You know, like 2 nights ago, I had some beans. I had some bean and high fiber tortilla burritos. And I did not get hungry until like 6 p.m. the next day. So I would say it. I would say it counts as breakfast. Still killing it, even with the bad brain day. Hell yeah. I do think I am quite powerful. That's true. Imagine how powerful I'm going to be when I finish this move and I actually have more time to like take care of my mental health and like prep shows more effectively. Not starting stream at like midnight. But Jack, you needed my permission for something? Oh yeah, to post the click butt song to Discord. I don't have the file handy. I was wondering if maybe you did. Fiber fills you up and helps you poop. It's true. And when you eat beans, the more you eat, the more you toot. Better tell your brain to start braining or it gets the hose. What? Thanks, Ashley Arbuckle. Wow. My glasses. It's fine. God. Oh, just a small life update. So I haven't been able to fix my custom Xbox controller as of yet, which makes me really sad. But I do intend to like open this sucker and see if I can like tighten some screws and blow some dust out and get it back into working order, because that'd be pretty neat. But in the meantime, I found this guy, and it's not as cool. It doesn't have like the light blue, but it is a pleasing shade of pink. It's an 8-bit do controller, and functions basically the same. And it was on sale. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it is that the stick, it has pretty severe joystick drift. This stick in particular will just like drift up. And it's like it feels fine. Like on the controller, it feels fine, but like when it is connected to any device, it starts drifting. So I need to like, I think I need to get in there and like clean it with like an alcohol swab or something. How did that happen? I've just had this for like 5 years, and I play a lot of video games. What games are on the menu for today? Oh man, I really wanted to play more Dragon's Dogma 2, but I tried to get this working today so that I could maybe do that, but much like Xbox controllers, you can connect this to a computer with Bluetooth, but like it doesn't work very well. There's a lot of input lag, so I can either connect this with a USB to the computer, not ideal, or I can get like a USB dongle, which is what I did. DM'd you the file on Discord? Hell yeah. Also, Jazz Dog, are you enjoying the that Fantasy Life game? I saw you playing it on Discord, and I was wondering if it was any good because it looks really cute. Let's see. Music. All right, I'm just uploading. I'm gonna upload this click the button work in progress song onto the Discord music section. Oop. There you go. OMG, I love it. It's like the guild part of Final Fantasy XIV, but in a cute single or co-op game. Okay, that does look cute. I saw you added Dune to your wish list. That feels super. I mean, like, I have a lot of games that I put on my wish list because I'm like, someday this will go on sale and I'll be able to play it. You know. One day I'll become bigger than Hassan and I'll be able to take a whole week off of streaming in order to play video games. Took your advice from stream last week and joined the local DSA. Fuck yeah, I can't video game. Just got accepted today, but they use Slack, so I kind of want to unjoin now. Yeah, Slack does. I understand, but stick with it. Good night, keeping on. Also, I can't video game. If you join the Discord, there is a channel on our Discord to talk about DSA stuff. And you can join the DSA, the Riverboat Jack Shimp Caucus, which is our unofficial DSA alliance of cool lefties dedicated to making DSA not suck and be dedicated to actually, you know, doing things as opposed to circle jerking. Haven't been using Discord lately. Been really bad at being social as of recently. I'm sorry to hear that, all seeing dude. I don't spend a ton of time on Discord, but today I did host like a movie day in the Discord. We watched kind of a fun horror movie called Opus that I hadn't heard anything about, but it's kind of like a hybrid of Midsommar and The Menu in a particularly interesting way. I thought it was really good. And it also starred one of the women from the movie Bottoms. And then we watched Sinners, and then the original Superman, and then Get Out. It was a really stacked lineup of movies today. Is Bottoms good? Bottoms is... I wanted to like Bottoms a lot more than I did, but I still liked it. Does that make sense? I think Bottoms was a fun movie. I wanted to like it a lot more than just like it was fun, but it's still worth watching. Yo, Comrade Girl 2018, Sinners is straight fire. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure sometime soon I will stream it in the Discord again because like holy shit, it's so good. And don't look up anything about it. Just go in blind. It's so good. Oh man, Nope is such a good movie too. Now I want to see that one. I really enjoyed going into Nope and having absolutely no idea what I was in for. Watched Sinners for the first time yesterday morning when I got off of work. Most unnerving vampires I've seen. Well, it's genuinely like just such a breath of fresh air. It's so fucking good. Yeah, Nefarious Numbat. I thought this would be good for like retro games, and I thought it would be like a relatively decent like 1-to-1 for like an Xbox controller, especially because this is supposed to be compatible with like the Switch and Switch 2, but it can connect to PC. So it's kind of like, I could just use this for my PC gaming from here on out. Yo, Ginger Snaps is fun, Von 400. Ooh, I'll check it out. Hylothane Space Dust. Hello, Tipster. How are you? Oh, I've been a lot better, Tipster. I've been a lot better. But we keep on soldiering on, don't we? Okay, I think I have one more segment in me because I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Jeffrey Epstein stuff today. Also, I'm just as a heads up, I might stream tomorrow night. Probably more of a chill stream, but just let you know that that's on my possible radar. We'll see. Okay. Here we go. So, folks, there's this guy named Jeffrey Epstein, and the other day we talked a bit about him and how he has the potential. This has the potential to be a wedge issue within the Republican Party that people like Tucker Carlson or other opportunists might use to like still be Republican but differentiate themselves from Trump, which, as we get closer and closer to 2028, some Republicans might think now is their time to make the move to try and become like more of their own type of possible candidate, right? Well, if you thought this story was not really going to go anywhere, I think this story from Wired really really puts a nail in that. This is going to be a story and a real problem that sticks around for a while for the Republican Party. Like, metadata shows the FBI's raw Jeffrey Epstein prison video was likely modified. So this is basically throwing gasoline on the conspiracy fires. Okay, this is like, oh, we're going into overdrive, and it really doesn't matter. Like, some of the metadata indicates that, like, essentially, like, we don't really, like, maybe it was manipulated, maybe it was just like poorly like transferred, but either way, like, the existence of this footage, the idea that, like, oh, there's nothing weird going on here with Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most prolific child sex traffickers of all time, you know, hundreds of women harmed by him. Understand that, like, this is just never going to end. This is becoming a big problem to such a degree that the deputy FBI director is now talking openly about resigning because of the Jeffrey Epstein files. He's told people he's considering resigning amid a major clash between the FBI and Justice Department over the continued fallout from the release of the Jeffrey Epstein memo, sources familiar with the matter told at CNN. This comes after a heated confrontation with Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of the case earlier this week. The infighting over the case came to a head during a Wednesday meeting, which included Bongino, Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, the sources said. Bongino and Patel were confronted about whether they were behind a story that said the FBI wanted more information released, but was ultimately stymied by the Department of Justice, they said. Bongino denied leaking that notion to News Nation, which published the story, a source familiar with the matter told CNN, though he did not sign on to a statement defending the review included in that article. CNN has reached out to Bongino and the FBI for comment. The sources cautioned that Bongino had not made up his mind. It was possible he would stay in his position. Axios first reported some of the details of Bongino's confrontation at the White House. Yeah, like, again, the girls are fighting. The girls are all fighting in the administration. The knives are coming out. The fingers are being pointed. Multiple sources said Bongino did not come to work Friday, fueling speculation he had quit over the issue. One of those sources said that as of Friday afternoon, he has not left his position. So, like, people just, deputy director of the FBI just not showing up to work, just taking a day, you know, going to smell the roses. So is he resigning because he grew a conscience, or because to save his own ass? It's never because they grew a conscience. I'll tell you that much. People like Dan Bongino, no. There's a hilarious clip that was going around a while back. See if I can find it. It was very funny. Oh God, where is it? There was a clip going around of him being so sad. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Found it.
I mean, I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there. He gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
He's insufferable. You don't know what I have to deal with every day. I hear when he takes a shit. I hear when he washes his hands. I hear when he hums these stupid little songs to himself. He's going all day, every day with this guy.
He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment, but I stare at these four walls all day in D.C. You know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean. You know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work.
I do have to say, Dan Bongino has very high divorced energy for a guy who isn't yet divorced.
You're straighting out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I got one more thing. I mean,
no, you're doing great in there, pal. You're doing great in there. You're doing so good. You're moving mountains. Look at you, big strong man. So yeah, that guy didn't show up to work today, and I don't think that's a sign that things are going well, to say the least. Oh man, do I have it here? I need to throw this up there because I think this is going to be important. But also, well, the knives are out in Washington. There's going to be like someone's head is going to roll here. Right now, it kind of looks like Pam Bondi might be the one to take the fall on this. From Politico, Trump whisperer Laura Loomer sharpens her knives for Pam Bondi. Which, like, yeah, that's interesting to say the least, right? Also, I'm realizing I have so many tabs open. Holy shit! 1 second. Basically, Laura Loomer is going around like an agent of death. Like just kind of showing up on the doorstep of people that she doesn't like. She got like 3 top intelligence officials fired. Like she's genuinely just like going nutso on the damn Jesus on the entire political establishment in Washington. All right. Yeah, here's one of her posts. Ed Martin is tremendous. He got such a raw deal, such a waste of talent. He needs to be elevated. And Ed Martin, by the way, is the guy who was so crazy that he was not confirmed for DC district attorney, like, or DC prosecutor. I forget what position in DC. But he was like sending out memos while being like the acting head. And it was just unhinged nonsense. Just unhinged nonsense. Now I do want to throw this up here. Yo, Salmon Moose, thank you for the 10
I want
gifted
to scream
tier
for
1
the
subs.
GOP. I want to sit with Dan Bongino.
How can we all have died at the same time?
Salmon Moose, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. My God. Now, one of the things I would really like to point out here is that it's not just Laura Loomer. Here is Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly teaming up to put the knife in Pam Bondi's back.
But you shouldn't be upset the influencers. They were handed these binders like there was something incredible in them.
It is what you would do to an enemy. It would have been a brilliant operation had she loathed them and been looking to undermine them.
She also,
like, again, it's the operation to like pin this all on Pam Bondi is in full effect, and I don't think for a goddamn second that this is because Pam Bondi is responsible for this. And what I mean by that is Pam Bondi doesn't fart unless Donald Trump gives her the go-ahead. Like, she is a lapdog. And also, she's the one of the influential people in this entire case. She was the Florida Attorney General. Okay? Now, one thing to note here, we'll go with this piece. And this is one of the reasons why, again, as I said in that previous segment about Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein said one of his best friends was Donald Trump. And, well, there's an interesting wrinkle to this story insofar as, hey, why would the Trump administration suddenly want to kill this Jeffrey Epstein story? Well, this might be one reason. This is from the Daily Beast. Trump held talks on pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, according to a biographer. The president agonized over what Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice would reveal upon her arrest, author Michael Wolff said. So, Donald Trump has been considering giving her a pardon. She was the one who procured women, and by women I mean young girls, for Jeffrey Epstein. This entire story centers on Trump being afraid of what might be revealed by Maxwell. And I'm just going to quote what Wolff has said on the podcast here. Trump became very wary about the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell and asked whether or not what could she say? What would she say? And should he pardon her? Trump was a longtime friend of Epstein, whom he once called a terrific guy. Quote, he's a lot of fun to be with, Trump said in a 2002 New York Magazine profile on Epstein. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. Behind the scenes, this was a discussion. Everybody around him was like, oh God, we hope she won't say anything, but we really hope he doesn't pardon her, Wolff said. And, you know, that's, I don't know. I think that is maybe one of the, I think that is maybe one of the most damning things I've ever seen written about a politician. Like, I don't know, if you're afraid of what a child sex trafficker might say about you becoming public, then I have a feeling it's nothing good. You know? Like, you've got the video now having like evidence of fabrication or tampering. You've got you've got like the knowledge that Trump was considering giving a pardon to this woman who got 20 years for assisting in child sex trafficking. You've got the statement from the Department of Justice and the FBI that says oh, there's no evidence whatsoever. There's no Epstein client list. Ha ha ha. Even though we've been saying for months that there is one. And also, there's no evidence whatsoever. No, all of those videos we talked about having, those thousands of videos, we don't have any of them. Haha. So I guess Jeffrey Epstein just felt like killing himself and didn't. You know, there nothing nefarious happened there whatsoever. It is genuinely like all of it is around and conspicuously around Donald Trump in a way that defies plausibility. If Donald Trump isn't a part of this, there is no plausible way things would be arrayed as they are at this particular moment. And like, frankly, this is something that is going to hit his base. There are a lot of Republicans right now who are like, wait a minute, this was like our entire thing, and you're like just saying it didn't happen. It's very, very strange. Also, can we just like throw out that like Fox News's coverage here is very, very weird? Just this was published literally like 3 hours ago. Ghislaine Maxwell follows prison fitness routine.
The Department of Defense is supercharging cyber defense program.
Ew, stop it. Follows prison fitness routine. Video shows as DOJ's Jeffrey Epstein memo draws heat. Exclusive images shows her jogging in prison. Wow, that's clearly the most interesting and important aspect about her. What's her fitness routine in prison? How does she keep it so tight? That's what all of us are wondering about Maxwell. Not about any of her past associations at all. It's genuinely like bizarre. Anyway, at this point, I'm just kind of here to watch like the Republican Party implode on itself. I figure the more of these ghouls like spending time and energy stabbing each other in the back, the less time they have to screw over millions of us. So like, I view it as a net win every time something causes a schism in Trump world, because it just takes up precious time. And we need all of the time we can get to properly organize against this fascism, like just straight up, you know? Yeah, woman who fed little girls to a pedophile gets to run around a track. People who crossed an imaginary line on a map without permission get stuck in dog kennels in a swamp. Insane country. It's true. It's true. We are an insane country. Doesn't make sense. I got a dip, but if anyone has communication with Demon Mama, I want to wish them the best. I was a viewer of theirs for about 3 months before they went on hiatus. Yeah, when is Demon Mama coming back from hiatus? Does anyone know? And yes, we will do our best to fix it, Joe Bertus Maximus. And with that, we gotta be done talking about this Epstein shit. I only have so much stomach for it. It is ultimately very, very gross. Anyway, best of luck to all involved in the Epstein fighting. May you cause as much chaos on your way out the door as possible. I think Demon Mama's just taking a break from streaming Star Bunnies. And frankly, it makes sense. Like, being a trans person streaming about the news right now, it's awful. It's an awful, awful feeling. I'm very sleepy though. Yeah, I don't know what happened, Phalia. I just heard other people talking about how Demon Mama's on hiatus. Also, hit the like button. You know, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, do the button things, and consider dropping those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, etc. Because that is what allows me to do the show. Ooh. Click the butt. Go, go, go. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click Patrick Lucas, thanks for the gifted membership. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the button. Click the goddamn button. Click 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 button. Am I heading off? Yeah, I gave you guys a 3.5 hour stream, and it is now 4 a.m. and I am gonna go sleep and try and regenerate some of my sanity. I love the little dancing Jack emote. Yeah, a community member made that. Y'all make some of the cutest emotes. Whoo, baby. Thank you, Extra Rust. I'm sleepy. Good night, you lovely beans. And we'll talk about more of this stuff on a new day. Bye.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Come, all of you good workers, good news to you I'll tell of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? My daddy was a miner, and I'm a miner battles won. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? They say in LA County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a union man or a scab for the boss, beware. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Don't scare for the bosses. Don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, 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 which side?